hello, good morning, good morning. Sorry, I should not be singing. Your ears are probably bleeding, aren't they? So, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So, today I'm going to test your knowledge. Yes, I've got a test for you, yeah. No, actually not. So, I've got another one of my activities from my baskets of wonder and pleasure. The activity for today is called, what's the name? It's called Describe the Difference, right? On these little papers I've got like mistakes that my students have made over the years, because as we all know, English is a very confusing language and there is a lot of words that we think, you know, are either the same but they are not, or in our languages we can actually have a lot of these like false friends, which are words that sound very similar to something in English, and for that reason we think like, oh, it must be the same thing, but in reality no, it's something completely different. Yeah, so it's really, yeah, it's English is just amazing. I have usually two words which are kind of like, they are really confusing. Normally I would just give it to you like this, and in the lesson or in the classic lesson you would just pick a piece of paper, but you cannot do that, can you? Or try. So I'm gonna pick a piece of paper for you, and it's really random. It's not organized into any topic, it's really random because life is unpredictable and I want to get you ready for that, so deal with it. So basically the point of this activity, or your task during this activity, is that I will give you those two words and I would like you to describe what it means and the difference between those two things. So just like in those two previous videos, I would like you to stop the video and try to speak out loud and try to explain the differences between these two things. I will tell you afterwards, but please try it for yourself. This is an opportunity for you to practice self-talk. So it's not anything extraordinary. Those are the things you can see around you, the things that, you know, are around you. The things that, you know, you talk about on daily basis, or the things you see on daily basis, or if you lived in an English speaking country you would be using these words on daily basis probably. So nothing extra advanced, nothing extraordinary, but bloody confusing. That's what it is. It is really confusing. So without further ado, let's dive into those, shall we? So the first one will be pieces of furniture that everybody has got at home, and it is the difference between the word table and desk. So, most of my students who speak Slavic languages, they actually think that the word desk is actually a part of a table, right? Because in our languages we have one word which sounds pretty similar, but guess what? It's not true! It's not true. A desk and a table both are pieces of furniture. They can look exactly the same. Actually, you can take the same piece of furniture, and in one scenario you can call it a table, and in the other one you can call it a desk. Yeah, because it's about the purpose, it's about what you do with it. So if you take the piece of furniture and you put it into your kitchen or your dining room, and you have chairs around it and you eat at it, or you play some games or do whatever, we would call it a table, right? But if you take that and you put it into your office, and you usually push it onto a wall and you sit only from one side of the desk, then we would call it a desk. You use it for work, or if you use it for studying, then we would call it a desk. And just because, you know, when you're working, when you're studying, you kind of need to use a little bit more storage. Desks usually have some drawers or some shelves, so you can put your stationery thingies there. Table is in the kitchen and a desk is in your office. Another two things will be, when you look at my lovely classroom or my lovely background, which is, yeah, I'm a little bit know when it comes to this. Some students say, oh, you've got a lot of flowers, and some students say, oh, you've got a lot of plants. So do I have a lot of plants or do I have a lot of flowers? Plants. I have a lot of plants. I actually do not have any flower in here. No. So basically everything that is green, everything that grows from the soil, all of the trees, all of the bushes, the grass, vegetables, even, all of those things are plants. Yeah. And some plants produce flowers. So a flower is this beautiful, you know, nicely colorful and nicely smelling thing. That is basically a product of a plant. Some plants have flowers and some plants don't have them. I actually don't have any, but I have, oh my god. Yeah, I've got this. So this is a plant, and if we imagine that this is a part of it, this would be the flower. This would be the flower. Yeah, oh my god. So this is a plant. This is a rose plant or tulip plant or whatever, and these are the flowers. And just because ladies, they love flowers, as a present, like you can cut the flower, you can put it into a vase or a vase and you can give it to somebody. So here is a flower for you. So this is a plant with flowers and this is a plant without flowers, basically. So the next two things. Ooh, let's talk about people. What is the difference between nice people and kind people? So these two words are quite confusing. They really are, because we can use them interchangeably. Is that the word? In most cases, if you say, oh, this is nice, or oh, this is kind, it would mean the same thing. And that's why it is really confusing, because they're both very positive adjectives. But there is a big difference, because one thing is happening here on the facade of people and the other one is happening here. So it's about the intentions of people, right? When somebody is nice, it's more about being polite, you know, being smiley, being friendly, being lovely to others, and, you know, being like nice in a moment, right? So you can like easily fake it if you want to, or sometimes you have to. If you work in a customer service, you know, even when you have a bad day, you have to be nice to your customers. You just cannot tell them to fuck off. That's not okay. That's not okay. You have to be nice. You have to be polite. Even when you hate somebody, even when the customer is problematic, you still have to, you know, keep smiling like, oh yes, 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 my lord. Of course, I will happily do everything you want me to do. Yeah. Whereas being kind is about you caring about people. Your intentions are very pure in this case. You really want to help somebody. You really care about somebody. You do the things because you want to make the other person happy. So kindness is here. And also it's a personality trait. I think, you know, you are born kind. You cannot fake it. You either care about people or you don't care about people. I don't think that's something, you know, you can learn. Or maybe you can learn it, but I don't think so. Whereas being nice, you know, is just something you can do in a moment. Kind of, you're just nice in that situation, even when you don't give a fuck about people. And for that reason, there is a lot of people who are really kind, like they would do anything for you, but maybe they are not as friendly, maybe they are not as polite or as nice, but you know, if you ask them for help, they will run and they will help you with everything. On the other hand, we can also have people who are really nice, you know, they can be all like, they can pretend like, you know, they can be like so lovely to you, but they are little snakes. They are little bitches inside. If I make a cake, this delicious, yeah, looking cake, am I nice or am I being kind? It's about my intentions. You know, if it's just required because it's your birthday party and I didn't want to come empty-handed and I'm just like, yeah, happy birthday, then, you know, I'm just being nice because it's your birthday party. But if I made your favorite cake and I care about you and I want you to have the best time ever, and I know that this type of a cake would make you, you know, really happy because you find it really delicious. If I really want to make you happy and if I really made the effort with this cake and I'm doing it because I care about you and I want you to have the best birthday ever, then I'm being kind. Speaking of people, people can be alone or people can be lonely. So what is the difference between being alone and lonely? Being alone is basically just about numbers. So is it just you or are there other people in the room with you? Alone is just statistics. Whereas being lonely is a feeling. It's the way you feel in that moment. It means you are probably not with anybody else and you feel sad because you don't have friends, or your friends are far away, you cannot talk to anybody, and you just feel, yeah, incredibly sad because there is nobody to talk to. And just because these two things happen usually at the same time, most people feel lonely when they are alone. Sometimes we can confuse these two. The next two things will be the difference between something that is easy and something that is simple. I think the best way to explain these two is actually via the opposites. So the opposite of something simple, it would be the word complicated, and the opposite of something easy would be the word hard, I think. So easy and hard is about effort, how much effort you have to put in, you know, like how physically challenging it is, or like how mentally difficult it is. And it could be difficult, it could be easy, so it's about how much effort you put in. Whereas something simple is more about your understanding. It's about, you know, like, is it complicated to understand, or is the process complicated or challenging to do? I think the best example of this would be a job which I've done in my life, and that is working as a waitress, right? So as a waitress, your job is very simple. You just take something and you know, move it from one place to another. You move it from the kitchen to the table, or you take a drink and you give it to your customer. It's just like that. You are a transporter. You're just transporting things from one place to another. So nothing complicated. But is it easy? No, it fucking isn't. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world because you are under a lot of pressure. Your customers may not be nice to you. Your colleagues may not be nice to you. There is a lot of people. You've got like 100 million things to do at the same time. Also, you've got long work hours. So you're working for like 18 hours a day. Like, it's bloody hard. It's very simple, just dun, 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 dun. But you are running around like a headless chicken under a lot of pressure. So very simple, but like hard. It's really hard. It's not easy at all. Speaking of hard work, right? If you do a good job, are you going to get a reward or award? They're quite similar. But again, very, very different. So award is more connected to some ceremony, right? So for example, the Oscars, the Grammys, and other things, you can see it on TV. Or does anybody watch TV nowadays? It's connected to more like a official like ceremony. You can get some prize or like a medal or something like this. Whereas reward can be basically anything. It's a different thing for different people. So it could be some nice piece of cake, some chocolate, money, for example, like whatever, you know, makes you happy. So for example, with my doggy, you know, like I give him little treats, like little yums when he does something that I want him to do, which is never. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, then I give him some reward, which would be some yummy food or some like lovely, yeah, you know, delicious treat for him. And for example, children, when they, I don't know, clean their room, you can let them watch TV or I don't know, I don't have children. So if you are celebrating some sort of success, then your family members or somebody, they can take you out for dinner or to the cinema, to the theater, or it could be just some words of praise, like, you know, well fucking done, you know, that's a reward, like a good feeling. Yeah, a good feeling can be a great reward. Just, you know, if you help somebody, then, and they say like, thank you, you really helped me, or you made my day or something, then that's also really rewarding. Now let's talk about money. So what is the difference between a loan and a mortgage? So we are talking about money. So when you don't have money, you can go to the bank and you can ask for a loan or you can ask for a mortgage. In this case, it's all about the purpose, like what you need the money for. If you need it for like little things, I don't know, like a washing machine, or you want a new TV or something like this, you would ask for a loan, right? But if you are buying a property, you know, you want to buy a house or a flat or something, then you would ask for a mortgage, which is usually, you know, logically much more money, right? So we are talking about millions. It depends on the currency. Yeah. And also the interest rate works a little bit differently. There is some percentage of the money that you pay back every year. I don't know, like mortgages are more complicated, but it's all about the purpose. Yeah, like loan is for everything and a mortgage is for property. Also, like if you don't have money, you can go to the bank, you can ask for the mortgage or the loan, or you can steal or you can rob. So what's the difference? Like if you have a bank, do you steal the bank or do you rob the bank? And if we talk about money, do you steal the money or do you rob the money? Haha. I bet you know the answer to this one, right? So we steal the money and we rob the bank. So robbing is about the place where you go, and stealing is about the actual things that you take. So you go to the bank, you rob the bank and you steal the money. Or you can rob a house and you can steal their TV or jewelry or diamonds. Shine bright like a diamond. You can rob a person and you can steal their wallet or something, right? So we are robbing places and stealing the object. What's the difference? When I say somebody has stolen my car and somebody has robbed my car. So in the first instance, I don't have a car. If I say somebody has stolen my car, then the car is the object. So somebody has taken it, so I don't have a car. If I say that somebody has robbed my car, then I do have my car, but it's probably broken, like the window is broken and my radio is missing, or anything expensive that was in the car. But I do have my car, I do have my baby. Yeah. So now we are going to talk about two lovely activities, two lovely hobbies, and that is painting and drawing. So when you paint and when you draw, right? So the difference is in the tools that you are using. So I usually say that drawing is dry and painting is wet, because in order to paint you need a paint. Yeah, you need a liquid color, you know, some acrylic fucking hell. Acrylic paint or some Other ones, you can also paint the walls. Again, you need some liquid paint. Whereas with drawing, you can take a pen, you can take a pencil or some charcoal or something, and you create something beautiful. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. The next one is going to be the difference between a bucket and a basket. They can have the exact same shape. That's why it is a little bit confusing. They can, but they usually don't. So in this case, we are talking about different materials, right? So actually I do have both here. So like, yeah, like these two, right? So one of them is a basket, one of them is a bucket. Yeah, I've just shown you. I've shown you. So baskets are usually made of the this material, like a wicker basket or some natural material, and it has holes. You cannot put water into a basket, right? Whereas you can put water into a bucket. This is a plant pot, so technically this is not a bucket, is it? but it's usually buckets are made of plastic, and we would use it, for example, if you want to mop the floor, you would need a bucket. If you want to if you want to water your plants, you would need a bucket of water. So baskets are natural with holes. And I have a lot of baskets here, actually. Yeah, this thing behind me, that's a basket. All of those things. Oh my god, I've got a lot of baskets. And the bucket, I've got a bucket in the kitchen and in my garden as well. I don't want to talk about this one because we are in a summer season. And this is really connected to winter. Oh, or can we use them in summer? Probably not. But anyway, what is the difference between gloves and mittens? So usually what I do to demonstrate this, it's this and this. Can you guess? So gloves are for all 5 fingers. So each finger has a little home. Whereas mittens are more like this. So you've got one hole for 4 fingers. Or you can have something which is called glittens, which is a combination of both, and I love them. I actually do have a pair of those, and it is the best thing because you can keep all of your fingers warm, right? But then if you need to, you know, you find something in your bag or something, you just pull it over and your fingers are free, and you can search for something, or you can type a message, or you can use your phone. So honestly, the best invention in the world. Yeah. That's questionable. Okay, now let's talk about food. So what is the difference between a salad and lettuce? So if you are from a country like mine, you might think that, you know, the word salad represents 2 things, like a meal and a vegetable. But not in English. No, no, no. In English, lettuce is a vegetable, which is like a green ball, right? Yeah, with a lot of leaves. Yeah, lovely, fresh green color. And salad is a meal. It's like a mixture of different types of vegetables. But not only vegetables, you can have a fruit salad, you can have pasta salad, you can just chop up anything you like and you mix it together and boom, you've got a salad. So that is it's a meal, it's a dish, whereas lettuce is the vegetable. So when my students say, when we talk about their gardens and the vegetables that they've got in their gardens, and they say, you know, I've got some salads there as well. My imagination goes crazy because I imagine the bowls, you know, with some like cucumbers and lettuce and, you know, carrots or whatever in the garden. Yeah, it's possible, you know, like, I don't know what is in your garden. The next one is also connected to food, and it is the difference between a dough and a batter. Some of my students have never heard of these. like unless you watch cooking shows or you are interested in cooking and you are cooking in English, then you may know these. In both cases we are talking about a mixture of flour and milk, yeah, and eggs and a little bit of salt, and you like mix it all together. And if you make it really thick, and yeah, like some other ingredients, and if you make it really thick, and you can hold it in your hands, and we would call it a dough. And you use it for bread, you can use it for pizza or some baguettes. Like all of those things are made from dough, so you can hold it, right? It's like a squidgy little ball. But when you mix the flour and eggs and all of those things, and it's a liquid form that you would use, for example, for pancakes or for crepes, for some cakes and things like this, then we would call it a batter, because it's really so liquidy. So dough is thick, right? You can knead it, you can work with it, but for the batter you would need a ladle. It's really like liquidy. And I also said the word pancakes and crepes. A lot of people don't know the difference between these two as well, so do you know? So pancakes are more like American style. They are quite thick, right? They're quite fluffy. I think you should put some yeast into those to make them rise a little bit, and they are usually like of this size. You can make tiny little ones, but usually in a restaurant you would get something in a size of this. Whereas crepes, they are French, and just like French ladies, they are very thin and delicate. Crepes are usually quite large, especially when you get it at some stand in the city or something, and you put the filling inside, and you can fold it or you can roll it or something, but it's a very thin crepe. It's very thin, whereas pancake is really fluffy. So the next two things will be connected to food again, and it is the difference between the word savoury and salty. Most of my students have actually no idea about the existence of the word savoury, and I've heard a lot of natives making this mistake as well. So, in general, we divide food into two categories, which is sweet food like cakes and chocolate and candy and whatever, and things which are not sweet, and those ones are savoury, right? So vegetables, bread, meat, and other things. They are not necessarily salty, because the opposite of salty is sugary. So salty means there is salt in it, sugary means there is sugar in it, right? So not everything that is savory has salt in it, do you know? For example, you can have a croissant. If there is anybody from France watching this, I really do apologize. So croissant or croissant is croissant, I don't know. So these ones, they can be filled with Nutella. That would make it sweet, but you can also have a plain croissant and you can cut it in half, and you can put cheese and ham and some vegetable in it, and you would have a savory version of the same food. Or you can have savory pizza, and you can have sweet pizza as well. I've seen it. I don't know who eats that, but you can have some cream cheese and like bananas and strawberries and things on top. I think it should be illegal, but maybe somebody likes it. What do you think about it? And we've got another one which is kind of connected to food. So I will give you 4 words in this case, and I'm not gonna say those because I would like to check your pronunciation. So here you go. So first of all, the pronunciation. The first one would be a recipe. A lot of students say receipt or something like this, but no, it's a recipe. The second one is a receipt. The P in it is silent, so we don't say it, so we just say receipt. It's the P that is silent, not the T, so it's a receipt. And then we have a bill and prescription, right? So we've got pieces of paper. We are talking about pieces of paper. So the first one is a recipe, and that one is connected to cooking, right? So it's a set of or a list of instructions and ingredients that you need in order to make a specific meal, right? So that's a recipe. And then we have a receipt, which is basically like a confirmation of a purchase that you have made. So every time you pay, you should get a receipt. So every time you buy something, the cashier is obliged to give you a receipt. So it's basically a confirmation of how much you have paid. Whereas bill is something that comes before the payment. So usually you would ask for it in a restaurant. You've had a wonderful dinner and you ask for the bill. So the waiter brings you a piece of paper and you look at it and you check if everything is okay. And that's probably why Americans call it a check, because you check the check before you pay, and then you pay for that, and after that you should get a receipt. And sometimes the bill serves as a receipt, but for example, if you pay by a card, you know, from the card machine, you would get the receipt as well. So in a hotel it works the same way. You want to pay, you ask for the bill, you get the nice piece of paper with all of the treatments in the spa that you've had, or you can have the bill from the restaurant on there, of course the price of the room, and then you pay, and then you should get the receipt as well. You can also have electricity bills, water bills, like all of those energy bills. And usually you pay them afterwards. And a prescription is from the word prescribe, because the doctor because the doctor prescribes your medication in case you need some medicine, and then you go to a pharmacy, you give them your prescription, you get your medicine, you pay, you get the receipt. Yeah. And this is particularly confusing for people, again, from my country and people with other Slavic languages, because for the word recipe and the word prescription, we have the exact same word. The next two things will be the difference between glasses, sunglasses, and goggles. Most students would know the difference between glasses and sunglasses. So glasses are here to help you see better. You wear them when you have some issues with your vision. So usually they are prescribed by your doctor, right? So they help your vision. Sunglasses are there to protect you from the sun. So they are usually quite dark. And goggles, they are something that you wear in order to protect your eyes from things that could be flying around, right? So for example, if you go snowboarding or skiing, you would wear some goggles. If you work in some dusty environment, or you are chopping something or like welding something, and you know things are flying around you, then you should wear goggles. Or if you go scuba diving or snorkeling, you should wear goggles. As I said that most of my students don't have an issue with the word glasses and sunglasses, they would usually actually refer to those thingies that you need for diving as swimming glasses, but it's not glasses. Actually, these things, they should not be made of glass, because in case something like hits that object, you know, glass is not the safest option. So goggles are actually not made of glass. They are made of some sort of plastic that can, you know, like protect your eyes. Then there will be a difference between a document and a documentary. I think most people know the difference between the two, but they are just too lazy to say documentary when they are talking about documentary. Like, they would say just the word document. So a document is a piece of paper, or you can have some, you know, electronic file, or it could be some PDF or something on your laptop or on your computer. And it's usually like a piece of paper, or like a digital piece of paper with some sort of information, right? Whereas documentary is something you can watch on TV. You can watch some historical documentary, or some documentary about plants or animals, you know, and it's more educational or informative type of a program for you to learn something. about that particular topic, right? The next one will be the difference between emotions and feelings. So this one is a little bit tricky, but basically when you have an emotion, it's a physical response of your body, and that is something you cannot control, right? So something makes you happy or excited, or something makes you sad. Those are things that you just cannot control. Or anger, right? When you get like angry or something like pisses you off, that's your body. It's a physical response of your body. Although when you feel the butterflies, you know, when you laugh, for example, is that a feeling or is that emotion? I don't know. Fear or like happiness or feeling like scared. And feelings are how we interpret those things. So for example, you find out that your boyfriend is cheating on you or something like this, and your first response is like anger. You're like, what the fuck? And that's an emotion. But then you like overthinking and you process everything that happened, and then you may start to feel sad or like resentful. You might hold grudges and you may not be like talking about it, and you can be in a shitty mood after all of this. It's not nice. Don't cheat, it's not lovely. The next one will be the difference between a castle and a chateau. So chateau, it's another like French fancy word. Both of them are old historical buildings, right? And again, it's about the purpose, like what it serves for. So castles are much older. They're usually made of stone, and the location of those would be usually on the top of some hill or on the top of some rock, because at those times people were killing each other more often, you know, and they wanted to conquer the land of someone else, and there were a lot of fights. So in order to protect themselves, the king and the queen, they would usually have their residence on the top of something, so they could see the enemies in case they were coming, right? So it was more for defending the country and stuff, whereas chateaux, they came much later, and those came when the times were a little bit more chilled, so people could go down from the rocks. And chateaux are really fancy, full of beautiful furniture. Also they have beautiful parks around and beautiful gardens. The best example of that is the Versailles in France, obviously. Like, that's the best one. A great example of a castle would be the Disney castle, I think. Is it on the top of the hill? I don't know. Which brings me to another one, and that is the difference between historical and historic. So historical, it means old, something that comes from olden days, you know, like very old. So historical buildings, historical clothes, historical anything basically. And historic, it means important in history, so it's usually about some events, right? So something important happened and it's a historic moment. So, or when the World War II ended, that was a historic moment, right? We will finish with really quite a lovely one, right? And those are lovely verbs. The difference between stroking somebody, scratching of somebody, or like difference between scroge. I'm tired. Stroke and scratch and hug and cuddle. All of those are really lovely. All of those are really lovely, and I'm gonna use my doggy. Yeah, not my real doggy. He is outside, but this bad boy, right? So basically, my doggy, he loves scratching, particularly in this part of his body. Yeah, so this scratching here or here, yeah, under his chin, yeah. So he loves scratches. So scratching is this, is this activity, right? Then also he likes being stroked. I usually stroke his head or his cheeks. and this is stroking. Yes, yeah, so you do this to somebody, this is a stroke. Yeah, and then you can hug somebody or someone. They say that you shouldn't hug doggies, but honestly my doggy, he comes for a hug. He loves being hugged, so I hug him. So the synonym would be embrace somebody as well, when you take them into your arms. Yeah, and all of these things, like all together, scratching, stroking, hugging, is called cuddle. And kissy kissy kissy, yeah. That is that, my lovely students. Let me know in the comments how many of those you knew. Most of my students, they actually know the difference, they just don't know how to explain the difference, which, yeah, that's the reason why we are doing this. Describing things and knowing how to say things in a different way is a really useful skill to have, because as you probably know, you can end up in a situation where you know the word but you just can't remember, right? So instead of like getting stuck in it and not knowing how to say that, you should be able to find a different way how to describe the same thing in different words. Yeah, sometimes you have to say more words, but it doesn't really matter. It's not about speaking correctly, it's about speaking. Saying something. And sometimes when you don't know, you explain it, the other person can give you the word that you were looking for. I don't think it's good to go straight for the translation. I don't like when my students do it, and I usually push them into describing those words that they want to say. Like, come on, like, try to say it in a different way. Don't go directly for the translation, because you are giving up in that case. And trust me, you can explain everything in a more simple way. So that is that. If you can think of any other ones that, you know, you find confusing, or you have made a mistake in or something, share it in the comments. Let me know. I would like to know. There is loads of those in there. So have a fantastic rest of your day. Have a fantastic week, fantastic weekend. Stay happy and healthy, and I will catch you later. Bye.